silent passenger. The train cut through the midnight fog like a blade, its whistle echoing across the endless countryside. The landscape outside was black and blurred. Only an occasional flicker of a farmhouse window breaking the monotony of fields swallowed by mist. Inside, the carriage was quiet, almost too quiet. Most of the passengers had slumped into uneasy sleep, lulled by the repetitive clatter of wheels on steel. Only a handful stayed awake. A young couple whispering drunkenly, an old man with his chin buried in his chest, and Daniel, alone, in the last row. He sat rigid, coat collar pulled tight against the chill. He hadn't meant to be on this train. A delayed connection, a mistransfer. And now he found himself in a half-empty carriage on the 12:45 night service that wasn't even listed on the boards. A ghost train, he thought bitterly. He tried to laugh at the irony, but the sound stuck in his throat. He adjusted his glasses, exhaled, and looked at the window beside him. Only his reflection stared back. Behind it, the empty rows stretched into darkness, almost empty. At the far end of the carriage, a woman sat alone. Daniel froze. He could have sworn that seat was empty when he boarded. She was pale, terribly pale, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She wore a dress decades out of fashion, lace frayed, seams torn, as though it had been dredged up from a trunk that should have stayed locked. Damp hair clung to her face in thin ropes, her head tilted slightly, as though she were listening to something only she could hear. She didn't move. She didn't blink. Daniel swallowed. Maybe she had been there all along. Maybe he'd simply overlooked her. But the way the air felt heavier now, the way his chest tightened, told him otherwise. The train plunged into a tunnel. The lights flickered, buzzed, then sputtered out entirely for a second that stretched far too long. When they came back, the woman was sitting 2 rows closer. Daniel jerked upright, heart hammering. He glanced around. Nobody else stirred. The couple still whispered. The old man still dozed. No one reacted to the pale figure that had closed the distance. He shut his eyes, counted to 3, opened them. She hadn't moved, except maybe she had. Her lips, they were moving, forming words. But no sound came. Daniel turned toward the window, hoping to ground himself in something solid. Instead, the reflection betrayed him. The woman was crystal clear in the glass, closer than she looked in reality. Her lips moved again, and though there was no sound, Daniel suddenly knew what she was saying. "I'm cold." The tunnel swallowed them again. Darkness, a stutter of light. She was across the aisle now, directly beside him. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He tried to stand, but his legs trembled too violently. His whisper broke out before he could stop it. Do you need help?" Her head tilted, slow, deliberate, as though testing the sound of his voice. Her eyes met his for the first time. 2 bottomless pits that seemed to suck the light from the carriage. Then with jerking precision, she nodded. The lights died again. Daniel felt it before he saw it. The weight on the seat beside him. The air turning damp and heavy. The chill soaking through his bones. The lights snapped back. She was there, inches away. Her skin was grey, lips split, water dripping down her chin onto the floor. Her hair clung like seaweed. And in that silence, he heard her voice at last. Not through his ears, but crawling inside his skull. "You saw me. You answered. That makes you mine." Daniel bolted to his feet. "She's here. Somebody, please look." The young couple glanced at him, irritated. The girl rolled her eyes. "Jesus, calm down, man," the old man muttered in his sleep. The conductor stormed in from the adjoining car, uniform soaked with sweat. "Sir, sit down, or I'll remove you at the next stop." Daniel pointed, arm shaking. "There. She's right there." Every head turned toward the empty seat beside him. The conductor's jaw tightened. "Last warning." Daniel's voice cracked. "But I saw." Then he froze, because in the glass reflection, The woman sat exactly where he had been, smiling now, patient, waiting. The rest of the journey blurred into a nightmare of stolen glances and false reassurances. The woman never moved when others were watching, but in the reflection, she grew bolder, pressing her face closer to his shoulder, mouthing words Daniel could almost hear. "Come closer, breathe with me, you're almost mine." Each tunnel stretched longer, the darkness lingering, swallowing seconds. Every time the lights returned, she was closer. Finally, Daniel couldn't bear it. As the train rattled into another stretch of night, he sprinted toward the conductor's compartment, gasping, "You have to stop this train. There's someone." But when the lights flickered back, the corridor stretched impossibly long, longer than the carriage itself. Every step forward carried him nowhere. The doors at the far end retreated, inch by inch, until they dissolved into black. And then he realized there was no way out. He turned. The carriage was empty now. No couple, no old man. Just row after row of seats, stretching into an impossible distance. And in every window, reflected back at him, was the woman. Hundreds of her, all smiling, all mouthing the same words. "You answered." Daniel staggered back, hands clutching his head. No, I didn't mean..." A cold hand touched his wrist. He screamed. The train plunged into its longest tunnel yet. The darkness pressed in like a coffin. And in that blackness, the whispers finally gained sound. A chorus of voices wrapping around him. "Mine, mine, mine." At dawn, the train screeched into the final station. Only the conductor stepped off, clipboard in hand. He muttered, brow furrowed. "Strange. Manifest said 92 passengers boarded. Only 91 disembarked." He shook his head and turned away. In the glass of the empty carriage, a pale face pressed against the window. Daniel's. His mouth open in a silent scream, fists banging soundlessly. And beside him, the woman leaned close, her wet hair brushing his cheek, her smile stretching too wide. She whispered to her new passenger, her words echoing in the carriage no one would ride again until nightfall. "You'll keep me warm now."